In spite all of his prowess as a master of the martial arts, a certain samurai found himself incapable of getting rid of a large rat that had set up housekeeping in his home and was making a continual nuisance of itself. The rodent was very alert and extremely cunning. It could dodge any sword blow and was too smart for any trap. So the master of the house was finally driven to his last resort. He went to the marketplace to buy a cat. He found a merchant who seemed to have what he was looking for and returned home with a young and vigorous male cat. After a week of mewing, pawsing, and frantic chases around the house, the spirited young Tom remained without a catch. So the disappointed samurai went back to the market to return the cat to the merchant. The latter at once began touting his merits of his latest acquisition, a striped male cat in the prime of life. If you went by what the merchant said, a better rat hunter would never be found. And, in truth, the new arrival quickly showed itself to be both more experienced and more subtle than his predecessor. It waited in ambush behind pieces of furniture for hours at a time. It stole about close to the walls, creeping slowly so as not to arouse attention. But after a week, the rat was still running free. Furious, the sword-bearing householder returned the cat to the merchant and demanded his money back. The samurai was in the habit of paying regular visits to a Zen monk from a nearby temple. He found himself telling the monk about his problem. "Well," the monk responded, "you should borrow our cat for a while. Thanks to him, we have no rodents here." And he took the samurai into the dojo, where asleep on a zafu, a meditation cushion, lay a somewhat decrepit, plump old tomcat with a half-bald head that looked as though it had been punctured. The warrior brought the old puss back home and deposited it, still asleep, on a tatami mat, where it continued snoozing away, giving not the slightest sign of knowing it had changed residences. The attitude of the monastic felon was extremely irritating. It spent its time sleeping on the tatami, always in the same place near the fire without getting up except to eat its food or see to its basic needs. You could believe that it had taken on the worse habits of certain monks who, after filling their bellies, sit for hours while picking their noses. Not a week had passed before the samurai carried the useless creature with a mouth not worth leading back to the temple. "Don't be so impatient," the monk exclaimed. "Keep him a little while longer. Trust me, I'm positive that in the end he will provide you with complete satisfaction." Skeptical, the gentleman took the old Tom back home. One day followed another without any change in the cat's attitude. And as the proverb says, when the cat sleeps, the mice dance. In this case, the rat made itself more and more comfortable. It even became so bold as to sample the food waiting to be stewed over the fire, brightening the daylights out of the mate. Since the old tomcat still showed no sign of moving, the rodent now paid it no more head than you do to a stuffed animal. And one day, as the rat was trotting by in paw range, with a sudden move, the Zen cat seized it. In a flash, it was a dead rat. The samurai, who had witnessed the scene from a distance, could hardly believe his eyes. He at once recalled one of the principles of Chinese strategy: numb the vigilance of the enemy. He returned the old Tom and made a gift to the temple. Then he meditated on the lesson he had learned and, it is said, made considerable progress in his practice of swordsmanship. So, the story teaches us valuable lessons about patience, wisdom, and the power of stillness. The samurai's initial attempt to solve his rat problem through force and agility failed, as both the young and experienced cats proved ineffective. However, it was the old, seemingly lazy cat from the Zen temple that ultimately succeeded. By remaining calm, motionless, and indifferent to the rat's presence, the cat lured the rodent into a false sense of security. When the time was right, it swiftly and effortlessly captured its prey. The samurai realized the importance of strategic thinking and the value of appearing unthreatening to deceive his opponent. This lesson has a profound impact on his practice of swordsmanship, emphasizing the significance of patience, observation, and exploiting the vulnerabilities of one's adversaries. Ultimately, the story reminds us that sometimes the most effective approach to a problem lies in stillness, subtlety, and mastering the art of deception. This is Inspired Data. Thank you for watching. If you want more life-changing lessons, share true stories, subscribe to this channel. You can also go and watch any of the other videos on this channel. And don't forget, you have the power to change your life.